Hi traders, welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me, John, on this Wednesday, the 22nd of November. Aussie US dollar has climbed to the top of the tables, which is good for us. We were looking to get long in this market yesterday. If you just head over to our Discord, if I just bring Discord in right now, if you go over to the Pro Trade calls and updates, this was the alert that we posted yesterday. Looking at an alert at 65.40. If alert is triggered, let's place a buy stop order at 65.50. We're going to go for a very tight stop loss here and very tight targets because price is very, very close to some daily areas of support and resistance. Just to note as well, I've got in at 0.5% on this position because we've had a pretty good month so far, but we're also very, very close to daily resistance levels. So I don't really want to go in full whack knowing that I'm around a level of resistance. So this trade, essentially the probabilities of this trade moving in our favor are lower than if we were trading from a low, if that makes sense. So Aussie US dollar top in the day traders table here. We've got pound US dollar also on the tables and pound CAD. That strength that we saw in the yen is starting to fade away a little bit now. If I just actually go back to our Pro Markets dashboard tab and have a little look at the dashboard for today, you can see down here that it says Aussie yen 490, showing us that the yen is starting to weaken. Sorry, I'll just bring that in a little bit higher, showing that the yen is starting to weaken here, and especially pound yen really capitalizing on that at the moment. So we can go and potentially look at some yen markets as well. So let's go take a look and dive in first. I've got an update to Kiwi CAD. I tried to post it in the Discord, but I actually lost access to the lost the ability to be able to type a message in there yesterday for whatever reason. We were working on something in the back end. I don't know if that kind of freaked Discord out a little bit, but jump back in. But I'm going to show you what I did on Kiwi CAD. I exited the position. Okay, so we were looking and we were talking yesterday in the video of what would happen if price started to close back below that 50 moving average. Now if price closes back below the 50 moving average, for me it's a sign that we are going to start to see a pullback within that market. Now we were all good yesterday. Price was moving to the upside. We actually tapped into around about the 83.50. We rejected, but then price did start to see some support back at those hourly lows. So I held the position thinking that if price would come back in here, it may try and breach to the upside. It didn't. It rejected. We started to get another rejection, and then we breached back to the downside there. So I ended up exiting my position there. If you actually go to a 30-minute time frame, you can see that price closed below the 50 MA on the 30-minute time frame. That was my exit for me on this position, and what I was looking to see is if price kind of forms another opportunity, maybe we will look to get in long again if the tables can update and tell us that the New Zealand dollar is getting stronger, because there's still potentially a good chance that price comes up towards the 0 spot 84 handle. We just might be having a couple of days of pullback here before we look for an opportunity to get long. Now price has come into this kind of 4-hour level of support here, so if you are holding this position, it may still kind of climb to the upside there. You can see obviously this is a good area where buyers have stepped back in the past, so I'd be looking to see if price can kind of jump back in at that point and move back to the upside there. But that's something that we're going to have to watch here, I think, on the daily time frame. Now let's head over to Aussie US dollar because our alert got triggered. I entered a position. This is the position that we're looking at. So our alert was down here at 65.40. okay, it was kind of like the mid-range of this sort of demand zone down through here. Okay, we were basically looking to see, would price come back into this level and would buyers kick back into the market. Now I missed the kind of better entry, to be honest. I was looking at the 30-minute time frame. I was looking to see if price would form a bit of a double bottom pattern, and I missed that earlier sort of entry because I would have tried to maybe have got long a little bit sooner, tighter stop loss, increased risk to reward ratio, but I didn't manage to jump on that. So I just placed the order essentially that we spoke about in yesterday's video, and this is how that is currently doing. If I go to the sort of 5-minute time frame, you can see price starting to make higher highs, higher lows here. I'd like to see obviously try and take these kind of highs in here, especially this high where we saw quite a lot of bearish momentum yesterday. I'd like to see it try and breach that swing high in there. But we'll have to see how this one plays out. Now, the reason why I've took it at 0.5% is because of where we are in terms of the daily level of support and resistance. Obviously, we've breached 0.65, which is great. We've had a bullish close yesterday. We have taken out yesterday's low, which isn't the best thing to look for. To be honest, it does show signs that the market is potentially going into a retracement phase, but we are kind of heading towards an area of resistance as well, which is that 0.66 level. So I would rather, if I was going to be short this market, I would rather try and get short in this extreme zone. So that's why I think price could still try and make its way to that point. I think we're just going to have to manage this one quite aggressively. Let's say on the hourly time frame, which is kind of where we've entered, let's say price kind of breaches this high, heads towards 65.80. I think then we've got to consider bringing stop losses immediately to break even at that point. Try and protect that capital, see if we can see that continuation to the upside that we're kind of looking for here. Now, happy to hold this one. Obviously, the table's telling us that Aussie US dollar is the sort of top of the day traders. That's, to me, suggests that there's momentum behind this move. So I like the idea of kind of continuing to look for that. Let's go quickly just over to the slate, just because there is some dollar data out today. I just want to quickly show you that there is data from 1:30 p.m. onwards today for the US dollar. So also we want to be able to be in a position, hopefully, that when it comes to that sort of news event coming out, that we're in a position to maybe manage the risk on that position as well. So that's what I'm kind of hoping will happen here for Aussie US dollar. So yeah, looking okay at the moment. We've got obviously 4-hour demand zone coming in here, hourly demand zone as well. The 30-minute time frame double bottomed, so that's what I was kind of looking for. Hopefully we can see that continuation to the upside there. Let's go on to the other charts of interest then. So obviously AUDCAD is another one of those charts to potentially watch. In here we can see Aussie as S1, CAD as S2, same for the trend traders table. So there's a potential for the market to move here. Now, I've kind of highlighted what's going on. So again, daily chart breaching that low in here. We're kind of having a little bit of that pullback situation. Now, the difference between this and Kiwi CAD is the fact that Aussie CAD's already kind of tapped into this resistance zone, but we may get kind of another drive into it before seeing a move to the downside, or maybe a breach and a continuation. So there is some possibility that we could get long this market as well. Looking at the 4-hour chart, I can see that we're starting to bottom out, or in around that 89 sort of 50 area. We had alerts set at 89.40 for a potential long move. We're kind of coming a little bit short of that level, about 15 pips. So we'll see how price reacts. I can see that on the hourly chart at the moment, like I said, there's demand coming in here at 89 sort of 50 and above. So I wouldn't mind seeing how price reacts if it comes back in. So like I said, I like to get long from lows sometimes. So this 30-minute time frame shows me that buyers are getting in down in here. If price pulls back into that point, could it be an area where we get long and look to target these swing highs? At that point, we've got opportunity to have a good risk-reward ratio. So if anything, we're looking at maybe entries down towards this level. I'd be setting an alert around about 89.60 now. So I'm just going to drag that up in and around 89.60. If price hits 89.60, we might be able to look at an entry around about 89, sort of 67-ish. I'm just going to, I would say 65, but we've got a spread of 1.5. So I'm going to go, well, let's say 89.70 on an entry. Okay, because I can see that already. If I go 89.70 and then we kind of initiate like a 40 pip stop loss, let's say 89.30 in there, we've got a good risk reward ratio. We're nearly at 2 to 1 before getting into that swing high. You could go a little bit more aggressive. I'm just looking at the ATRs here on Chart Partner to see what we could be looking at. So 65 rolling, 40 on an ATR. So yeah, I want to be looking to see if there's any kind of any kind of good areas to place the stop loss. Now, I mean, you may get away with putting your stop loss a lot tighter. So let's say 25 pips. Yeah, maybe even, let's look at a 30 pip stop. Let's look at a 30 pip stop, because I'm just worried about the spread here on this market. May be able to get away with a 30 pip stop, because then it gives us 2-1 back into the swing highs, which I quite like. So we'll see what happens here with regards to Aussie CAD. There's an alert that we can place at 89.60, potential entries at 89.70 and above. Now let's move on to cable. Cable's actually at a level of resistance at the moment, 1.2550, so you can see that area through there. Obviously price found support, breach, found resistance, continuation, so we are kind of at an area of resistance at the moment. So pound dollar, I'm not 100% on, although cable has actually held up quite well. We've actually seen a little bit of sort of euro pullback and things like that. Pound has actually held up pretty strong here, so I like the idea of being long pound, but maybe not against the US dollar right now, although I do feel like this market could potentially move up to the next levels of resistance, which could be sort of this swing high here around about the 127.50 level. So I do think that there's a potential for price to continue higher here. It's just that we're at resistance again. I don't want to get long at highs, I want to get long at lows, or on a sort of trend basis, and we don't have either of those really at the moment. Hourly is kind of testing the 50, potentially breaching back above it, but like I said, we're very, very close to this resistance level at the moment. I like the price action here, I must admit, because we've had a long push up into resistance and sellers aren't really getting involved. That to me means there's a good opportunity to see price push higher, but maybe we can look at trying to capitalize on pound strength elsewhere, like for instance pound CAD. Obviously pound CAD could be something to watch out for. We've got 173 potential targets up in here. If I look at the hourly, I can see that we're kind of testing around about that 50 MA. If I go to the 30-minute time frame, we're kind of hovering around the 50 MA as well. Maybe a breach above that could give us long entries with a 50 pip stop loss, 70 pip targets maybe, or I want to be highlighting these kind of key areas of support and resistance. So let me just go to an hourly and see where that is. So I can see obviously we're finding support down towards these lows at 17150, so that could be an area to watch out for. Let's just pop a little alert there. If price can push back down into that level, there could be an opportunity to get long 17160 with a very tight stop loss, 40 pip stop loss. Maybe at that point then we've increased the risk reward ratio by at least sort of double there. So there's a potential there for pound CAD, I feel. Not as good as pound yen though. Let's have a little look at pound yen. So we were looking at pound yen recently. We came into this 186.50 high. We rejected. We've pulled back down into weekly lows. We found support. If I go to the daily chart, you can see we found support pretty much where we were entering in the market previously. Okay, we were looking to get long around here before. Price has pulled all the way back into there and rejected. If it's going to go anywhere, it should come back up towards these previous highs, okay? So there's at least 120 pips to potentially find here on a pound yen move, okay? So I'm looking to see, can price come back down and rally to the upside? So double bottom pattern again, price started to push higher. The one thing I do quite like, if you go down to an hourly chart, is this zone down through here. You can see that price has found some kind of consolidation around this point. So I like the idea of looking for price to come down towards this 186 handle, maybe a rejection continuation. If I go to the 30-minute time frame, this could be quite in sync with a potential move to the downside, crossover of the 200 and the 50 MA, and then look for that kind of breach back to the upside there. But I do quite like the idea of price coming back towards 186. So again, I'm going to put an alert here. Could be an idea to look at 186 for an opportunity to get long in this particular market. Now, the only kind of difficult thing about this at the moment is if we just pop over back to our tables, we can see that yen is on S3. I want to see that kind of move to the weak side and then get the confluence obviously with the trend traders table before really taking some serious action on that particular market. So hopefully that all made sense. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of the moves this week. Currently we're out of Kiwi CAD now, so if you aren't If you haven't got out of it, maybe consider looking at your options here. We are trying to find some support down here, so maybe you can hold it to see if price pushes to the upside. That's completely up to you. We're in Aussie US dollar at this current moment in time, looking to see if price can push back up to at least this 0.6580. I'm actually just going to pop a little alert on there as well. We want to see potentially manage only if price does get there. Obviously, we don't know if it is or not, but if it does, then there could be an opportunity to try and kind of scale out of this position before we get into news this afternoon. So hopefully that all made sense, and I'll catch you in the next video.